Once, in a busy railway station, there lived a poor man who survived by asking passengers for money as they waited for their trains. Every day, he walked from bench to bench, stretching out his hand. Some people ignored him. Some turned their faces away. A few threw coins at him without even looking. And some shouted, "Go away! Don't disturb us!" Each rejection hurt, but he had no choice. He needed food to survive. He thought, people have money, yet they don't want to help. The world has no kindness left. One morning, while begging near the platform, he noticed a well-dressed businessman stepping out of a train. The man wore a clean suit, shiny shoes, and walked with quiet confidence. The poor man thought, "This man must be rich. If I ask him for money, he'll surely give me something." With hope, he walked toward the businessman and stretched out his hand. But instead of giving him money, the businessman looked straight at him and said, "Do you always just take from others? Have you ever given anything to anyone?" The man was shocked. No one had ever said such a thing to him before. He replied, "Sir, I'm just a poor man. I survive by asking. I have nothing to give to anyone." The businessman smiled slightly and said, "If you believe you have nothing to give, then you also have no right to ask for anything. I am a businessman. I believe in exchange. If you offer something, I can give you something in return. But if you have nothing to give, I cannot give you anything either." With that, the businessman boarded his train and left. The man stood still, thinking about those words. If you have nothing to give, you have no right to ask. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking. He wasn't rude. He was right. If I offer nothing, why should anyone give me something? For the first time, he realized that people didn't ignore him because they were cruel. They ignored him because he gave them nothing in return. 2 days passed. The man didn't beg. He just sat and thought. On the 3rd day, he noticed a small patch of wild flowers growing near the railway tracks. Their bright colors caught his attention, and an idea came to him. What if I give something in return? What if I offer a flower to everyone who gives me money? He plucked a few flowers and returned to his spot. When someone gave him a coin, he smiled and handed them a flower. People were surprised, but they smiled too. Some even thanked him. Soon, more people began to give him money, not out of pity, but with happiness. He noticed something interesting. When he had flowers, people gave more. When he ran out, people gave less. He smiled to himself. So it's true. People love to give when they also receive. Days turned into weeks. At first, things went well, but then the flowers near the tracks began to fade. He had no cash for new clothes, and sometimes woke up hungry, even for tea. He tried to find more flowers farther away, walking for hours under the hot sun. People who once smiled started to walk past again when he had nothing to give. He felt like giving up. He sat near the empty track and whispered, "Maybe I was foolish to believe I could change my life." But then he remembered the businessman's words. If you offer something, people will return it. That night, he made a promise to himself. If I can't find flowers, I'll grow them myself. He found an old tin can, filled it with soil, and planted seeds he picked near the tracks. Every morning, he watered them with rainwater he collected in a cup. Weeks passed. Slowly, little green leaves began to grow. When the flowers finally bloomed, he sold them proudly, and for the first time, He earned enough money to buy food and save a little for tomorrow. It was the hardest time of his life, but it was also the time that changed him. He was no longer waiting for kindness. He was creating it. One day, while handing out flowers, the man saw the same businessman again. He rushed toward him and said, "Sir, today I have something to give you. If you give me money, I'll give you flowers in return." The businessman smiled, gave him some money, and took the flowers. "You have understood the value of exchange," he said. "Today, you are no longer a beggar. You are a businessman." The train started moving, and the man stood there, smiling proudly. He thought to himself, "I'm not a beggar anymore. People aren't giving me money out of pity. They are paying for the flowers I give them. I have a business now." That day, he made a promise to himself he would never return to begging again. 6 months later, at the same station, two well-dressed men met. They shook hands. One of them asked, "Do I know you?" The other smiled and said, "Yes, we've met twice before. Right here." The first man thought for a moment and realized, "Wait, you're the man I met months ago. The one who sold me flowers." He laughed. "Yes, that was me. But now I run a small flower business. I travel to different towns to sell flowers." The flower seller said, "You taught me one truth. We only receive when we learn to give." They shook hands again, this time as equals, and boarded their trains, each heading toward his future. Life is shaped by how we see ourselves. If you believe you are small, you will stay small. Believe in your worth, and the world will notice. Change your thoughts. Change your future. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more motivational and English learning stories every week.